Good day, welcome to C&T Collectibles IMC, and this is 3 Up and 3 Down. We look at the top 3 risers and fallers in baseball cards over the past week, and then we'll transition to some of the players that did really well on the actual baseball diamond and see what, if anything, we should be doing with those cards over on Starstock. So as always, we will start with the card ladder report over the last 7 days, who are the top 3 risers and fallers. And the number 3 faller for the week is the Nolan Ryan Jerry Koosman rookie card, down 48%. You can see it's been trading in a fairly tight range for the bulk of the year, and it's at the bottom of that range again. So your risk reward is favorable at this time, and usually we see that with the fallers. They're more likely to be the cards we're more interested in buying, and the risers are more typically the cards we're interested in selling. So as long as it holds this range, there is upside. Now, if it slips out of this, then you're coming back down into this area here, most likely, which is $1,200 or something like that. And from a current price of $1,800, that's not insignificant. But as it stands right now, you are at the bottom of the range, and it is off 48% in a very quick move. Quick moves present quick profits and quick losses as well, but they usually reverse themselves equally quickly. All right, our number 3 riser for the weekend, Griffin Jr. up 157%, bottom of the longer term range and the shorter term range. Interesting confluence and a big spike to the top, and so the selling has taken place at this point in the past. So if it breaks out, that is a good thing, but your risk reward is not favorable at this time. So, and again, up 157% in one purchase, usually not something you want to chase. Our number 2 faller for the week is Jason Dominguez, the 2020 Bowman Chrome Sapphire in a PSA 9. Elevated for a while. This is purchase you can probably disregard. But there was a lot of buying in that $300 area, and there's also a lot of buying in this $150-ish area. And this is an interesting battle here, and it looks like the Bears are winning at the time here. So it's come back into an area where there has been buying before, and if it leaks a little bit lower, then there's probably a lot of buyers that are interested in stepping up. So off 50% for the week. Too much too fast, perhaps. This was too much too fast, and this just corrected it. So here you are. So all right. Hey, what do you think? No visuals today. I'm sparing you guys. Love you. So, all right. Number 2 riser for the week, Aaron Judge. Here comes the Judge. 2013 Bowman Chrome Draft Picks and Prospects. PSA 10 up 158%. So we've looked at this one in the past. It's gotten down into this area, said buy it, and then the next week it was a monster move. Say sell it. So here's your range. Here's your top end of the range. Here's your bottom end of the range. So I really need to put this on a watch list because I'd like this card someday, and I'd really like it even more if I could pay around $70 for it. So getting close to the top of the range as it stands. So perhaps you get another crack at this one in the next week or two. I think maybe I'll set an alert after this. Who knows? So up 158% as your number 2 riser for the week. Your number 1 faller for the week, Kyle Lewis. It's the 1985. This is the Silver Pack Mojo Refractor. I mean, it's just the regular Chrome, not even the Mojo, whatever. 1985 tops just the Chrome. Down 56% for the week, and when you're not having a good season, I guess that is the type of thing that will happen. All right, number 1 riser for the week, Pete Alonso, up 281%. So you had a lot of buying in this area. But then a monster spike here that $600 to $900 is kind of your range, and now you're sitting at $2,500. So it is the Chrome Draft Picks Autographs Refractor number to $499. So there's something to that. People are willing to pay a very high price for this card, and it doesn't come up very often. But overall, that is a big move. One person was willing to pay it. A lot of people are willing to pay this, or more people are willing to pay this. And I'm going to believe these people, I think, for the time being. But that's a very big move. And Pete Alonso is a player that I like quite a bit. And so we're going to transition over to the Starstock side of things, and we're just going to take a quick look at Pete Alonso before we look at some of the players of the week here. All right, Pete Alonso, Fangraphs. So we know about his rookie year. 260 average, 53 home runs, new home run record, weighted runs created 143. Just an amazing season last year. Tale of 2 seasons. Started off really, really lousy, but he finished fairly strong. And within his profile, things weren't as bad as it seemed overall. We'll look at that in just a second here. And this season, he's kind of repeating what he did in that back half of the last season here. The one thing that we are missing, you can see his average is improved. The strikeouts are continuing to trend down. He's walking at a decent clip. For a guy with his kind of power to strike out at that level, it's completely acceptable. So he's getting better at that every year. The average is creeping up just a little bit. The BABIP, he had some BABIP problems last year. He was hitting the ball plenty hard. He was just getting unlucky, and that's correcting itself to an extent. And he is that 250, 260 hitter most likely here. Positive offensive player. And a couple of things that stick out here. If you look at his exit velocity, it has increased. His max exit velocity is held steady at an elite level. Launch angle is up just a little bit here. He's hitting the ball even harder, more consistently. Barrel rates are up, and the number of balls that are quantified as hard hit are also up. And so what we're not seeing is home run to fly balls, and so that just hasn't come yet. I imagine that it will. Again, he's getting better as an overall hitter. I gotta think that the power comes at some point, and so some of those high-end cards are doing well. The base cards are not reflecting that at this point. But Pete Alonso is absolutely a player that I'll be keeping on your radar because he's having a pretty nice season. Not elite or anything like that, but the home runs, once they start coming, I think you'll see people start to jump on board. So, all right, let's start off with some players of the week, and we'll begin it with Mr. Cedric Mullins, who's having a pretty terrific season here. So, 13 for 28, 3 home runs, 4 RBI for the week. 45 value prospect, and so if you watched my video from last night on the 2021 prospects, this is on a player that I'll have on my radar, but they can certainly have some good seasons and they can be productive players, but not someone I'm going to go in terribly heavy. But if you look at his profile overall, decent walk rate, he's striking out less than 20% of the time. He's got an elevated BABIP. He's a fast guy, and he could probably carry that. You're hitting 322. The power, no, this is kind of the one that sticks out like a sore thumb. Where's this power coming from? So 9 home runs, 211 isolated power. He's never done that before. So maybe there's a structural change here. But exit velocity is kind of at the low end of you guys that are hitting power, and the max exit velocity isn't really up with the big boys by any stretch here. Not barreling up a ton, but he is hitting the ball hard. And so Cedric Mullins having himself a good season here. He is 26 years old, and so let's just see. It's if he's producing at this level, and if he can maintain this, if he can be a 4 or 5 win player for the next. It'd have to be for the next decade, and sprinkling some 6 and 7 win players. Then there's something there. I don't know that he profiles that, but you can see his cards. He's getting a nice bump. He started off the season pretty well, and came back to this 50 cent level where there's been a little bit of buying here. There was just no buying in this area here, so pretty decent gap. When it comes back down, it's going to fill that, and so now you're sitting 50 cents up to $1.50. So wouldn't do anything here, but if you're a Cedric Mullins fan and you want that higher grade raw example, that 85, 90 cent area. Looks at least interesting. All right, Juan Soto. Talking to some people, you can see it in the comments a little bit. I'm like, Juan Soto, there's nothing wrong with Juan Soto. He's not hitting bombs, and once that happens, I think you'll see it reflected in his card prices. And we'll look at that more on Friday. So. But you can see Juan Soto overall strikes out. He walks more than he strikes out, which is pretty incredible here. So BABIP is not as elevated as it was last year. So you almost have to disregard what he did last year and look at him as that 280 to 290 player with probably closer to 30 home runs, which is a really nice player. And he started at an early age, so if you can continue to do that for a long time, this is an excellent Hall of Fame track. What he did last year, he can do that in stretches, and it just happened to happen during a shortened season overall. But we know what he's doing, and now he hit 3 home runs for the week, and so that power is starting to come back a little bit, which was what kind of was freaking people out. They said, he's going to have a 3-4 home run week, and I think everything will be okay. And I think everything will be okay now. He had a very nice week. So we know his profile, we know his cards. If you watch the Friday show, you know that he's in an area that we had targeted for a while, and I think he will soon become a hotter pickup. All right. Justin Upton, 8 for 25, 3 home runs, 7 RBI on the week. 33 years old. He's really had a pretty nice career to hang around this long and be as productive as he has. He's been pretty darn consistent over that time, but really only a couple of really standout seasons. So I think for card purchasing reasons, not a player I'm going to target, but gosh, he's been around for a while, and he's played at a pretty high level during that time, and a lot of respect for Justin Upton, but just not going to spend a lot of money on his cards most likely at this time. All right, player that wasn't one of the top performers on the week, but he's having an excellent season, and he's one of my favorites. So I want to talk about him real quickly, and that's Matt Olsen, who last week was 11 for 28 with 2 home runs and 8 RBI. And so the past couple of years, he's always been a high strikeout guy. Last year was a disaster. There's no getting around that. His average was just absolutely tanked. And coming into the season, said, look for these things to correct. He had some eye surgery, worked with a hitting coach, and he may be a new player at this point here. At this point in the season, he's walking kind of where he has in the past, but he is striking out sub 20%, and he's 160 weighted runs created. If he's able to maintain this is an elite level player. And right now he's 27 years old. He's had a couple pretty nice seasons. He's banked some decent wins here. So someone to look out for here. If that strikeout rate is for real, that is going to be an impressive, a dangerous hitter here. Max exit velocity, he had an elite level. Regular exit velocity 92%. He's always hit the ball really hard. He's already around that 50% area here. Barreling up the ball pretty well, and he's got that launch angle that's even down a little bit, so he's hitting more line drives, but he's still hitting home runs, and I would absolutely be looking at his 2017 card, and you can see it starting to get reflected in his prices here. We like the $2.50 area here, and it's starting to creep up here, right around that $5 area. So we'll see if it gets capped a little bit, but if he keeps doing what he's doing, yeah, this thing is going to continue up to the $7 or $8 area. I think Matt Olsen, again, it really comes down to that plate approach. If he's truly a sub 20% strikeout player, this is one of the most dangerous hitters in the game, I feel. All right, Ryan Mountcastle had himself a nice week here. I don't know if is he still a rookie? I think he technically still is a rookie. 11 for 25, 4 home runs, 12 RBI. So you can get his card in the 2020 series and might make it worth a damn. Who knows? We'll see here. So always been decent level hitter here, around 300, and so elevated BABIP 254 hitter. Strikeout rate is too high, so right now you just have to chalk this up to, yeah, he had a really good week. So need to see a little bit more out of that below average player. He started out really well last year, but he was, again, 400 BABIP. He was looking for some regression on that one here, so he had a nice week. As far as going nuts on him, not entirely just sold on that one. He looks to be at the this buying cluster here, at the top of that range, coming off a little bit. And if you wanted to be aggressive, set some purchases in that 40-cent area or something and see what happens. So you had a few spike sales in here. So if you disregard those, again, this is kind of your upper level for Ryan Mountcastle. All right, we'll end up with a couple of pitchers here. Blake Snell, he had 7-inning pitch, 1 hit, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts, and a win for the week here for the Padres. And just looking at him real quick, he was dominant in 2018. Darn near unhittable, but nothing really since. So again, he's 28 years old, and he's had one really good season. So the potential is there for him to be quite good, but he needs to do it consistently over a long period of time before I think you do much with his cards. And I'll never say buy or sell. It's always about price for me. So Blake Snell for $1, yeah, why not? Blake Snell for $10 or $15, probably not. So I think we've got his update series 2016 update on Starstock, and you can see that one sale at $9. A little more interest in here. So if you're looking for Blake Snell, that $1.50 area is probably a more reasonable spot for that update card. But again, longer term, he really needs to turn on the gas and be consistent for the next few years. And we'll wind it up with Luis Garcia, who did not make my prospects list from yesterday. His card's going to come out in Series 2, I believe. And he's a 45 future value prospect. And there's just a few things I saw that he's having a heck of a start here. 5-3, striking out 10 per 9. He's a strikeout guy. He's always been a high walk guy, and he's corrected that for now. So that could be legit for the most part here. But he's got a pretty low BABIP. Means hitters are getting unlucky against him. 86% of guys are staying that get on base stay there, which is pretty high. That usually regresses into that 60-70% area. And again, the ERA and the xFIP, there's a pretty large disconnect that he's pitching at kind of a more of a 4 level, and you can see that because he's getting a little bit lucky. It's not reflected in the ERA, but is reflected in the xFIP. So his card isn't out yet for tops. And again, I'm not saying stay away. When I don't have him on my list, but I'm just saying don't pay for him as much as you would pay for like maybe a Trevor Rogers or something like that. So, all right, that's what I got for you. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you later. Bye now.